How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and this is another...
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Yes, as the voice likes to constantly remind us, this is Lost Heroes of the Golden Age. And today... What was that for?
She is a fox.
That's absolutely no reason to be whistling.
I disagree.
Today we're reviewing...
Madam Satan.
It's Lady Satan.
It says Madam Satan right there on the first page.
Yes, that is what they actually were calling her in the beginning, but I don't know. They settled on it. It's Lady Satan.
How can anybody with Satan in their name be qualified as a hero?
That's a good question. She's not the only Lady Satan character to be called Lady Satan to appear in comic books, but I believe she was the only one that actually turned out to be a hero. I may be mistaken. I did find other Lady Satans, and they were villains. But this is Lady Satan, and she is a hero. Now, her appearances were... I don't even want to say sporadic. She had 2 appearances, and then when she came back a few years later, her character was totally changed. She never really had a time to shine. She had what could be considered modern appearances, if you call Project Superpowers, and I believe 2008 modern.
Copyright 2008.
Yeah, but other than that, she never really had a chance to shine in her first iteration with no powers, and then her second iteration with powers. Now, we'll go ahead and cover all of these. It's brief. Everything that she appeared in was brief. So we'll go ahead and cover her first iteration, her second iteration, and some of the other ways they tried to introduce her. Oh, Avenging Force was stupid. And we'll cover that too. So let's get started with
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
With Lady Satan.
Madam Satan.
I already explained this to you. It started all... Lady Satan, real name, unknown. First appearance was Dynamic Comics number 2 in 1941. Publication was Chesler Comics, created by George Tusaka. And I may have just said that wrong. Not familiar with the name. Lady Satan had the unfortunate coincidence of coming out on the same publication date as Wonder Woman. They both came out in December of 1941, so unbeknownst to each other, they were competing with each other, and considering that this is a lost hero, you know who won that battle. Lady Satan had just 2 appearances in her original release. She wouldn't be seen for another 4 years after her first 2 appearances, 1941 to 1946, 5 years, where she would have 4 appearances under Chesler Comics, under the Red Seal Comics publication. Now, she would be brought back for a couple of reprints. Authentic Police Cases and Bullseye Comics would also do reprints of her first 2 stories. Now, in her first 2 iterations, she was a spy that possessed many skills. The origin story was quick, and it was just over and done with. Real name never revealed. She just goes by Lady Satan. Now, the funny thing is, in the first issue, which we will cover, they kept calling her Madam Satan, so I think they were a little confused. But they settled on Lady Satan after that. After that, when she appeared in Red Seal Comics, which we'll briefly also go over, she was a master of the dark arts, which was far and away removed from her original appearance. She goes from a master spy with the name Lady Satan, doesn't really track, to being a master of witchcraft, which Lady Satan would seem more appropriate. Now, Lady Satan would have a couple of appearances, but not in the comic books, such as, after that, There was a low-budget movie that came out, I think, in the early 2000s called, let's see, Avenging Force, The Scarab. And in that movie, they had a Lady Satan, they had the Scarab, and the Black Terror. And the actor who played the Black Terror was far and away the best character of the entire movie. It was really, really dumb and obviously low budget. After that, she would also appear in Project Superpowers. She came in about halfway through, and she had a couple of speaking lines. She had a couple of the all heroes on deck battles, but it was brief, and they kept showing that she had, I think she was supposed to have horns, but every time they showed her, you would only see the horns on the right side of her head. You would never see both horns. So I don't know if they were planning to play off the Lady Satan aspect, but like I said, few roles, few lines, no real effect on the plot. So let's go ahead and cover her first appearance and some of the powers over the years. Let's do this. Now, as we start, we see a striking figure in a red dress. These are just usually those splash pages that don't have any effect on the story. A mysterious woman dedicates her life to ferret out the secrets of the enemies of democracy and to turn those secrets over to the nations engaged in a deep struggle to keep the light of liberty aglow. Talk about a run-on sentence. This weird, stiff, striking character is also known as Lady Space Satan. I don't know why there's a space there. Like somebody enjoyed using the space bar. Now, as we begin our story, the lady who would become Lady Satan is standing on a boat next to, will be married soon, so her fiancé. Nazi bombers fly over the ship and bomb it. The ship blows up and we see her on a piece of driftwood. It said, as the rescue ship approaches, a harsh, bitter woe leaves the girl's lips. The page is a little distorted there, so we'll have to do that. All I ever loved destroyed by those tyrants. I swear henceforth to devote my life to the destruction. My enemies will flee at the wrath of Lady Satan. That's quite a quick turnaround. I mean, I'm glad that she's found something after her fiancé and her whole world is destroyed, but most people's resolve don't work that quickly. We see her later talking to what would be, I guess, a higher up in the Nazi hierarchy. And as they are talking, he talks about how he would like to see Lady Satan's face because she wears a mask. What appears to be a monk offers her flowers, and she does accept them, and there are hidden transmissions in the flowers. So she takes the hidden message. England must have plans of Nazi sub-detectors X9. That's what it says on the slip of paper. And she would like to see the camp and the, I don't know, is he a baron? I mean, they're usually what they look like. Says it's against regulations, but she'll show her the camp anyways. Once she gets there, she goes off on her own so she can overhear some plans from the higher-ups. She is captured and put before a firing squad. She convinces the commander of the firing squad to give her a last request. Unseen by the others with the guns, she slips the gun out of his holster and holds him at gunpoint, and then he decides that he's going to stay the execution. None of the other guys see the fact that she's holding a gun on him. Must be a great spy. She has the commander of the firing squad escort her to a plane, which she takes off in, because she can fly planes. We don't know what her training was between the boat blowing up and the next scene that she shows up. So she may have gotten herself a myriad of skills. Myriad? Well, I may be saying that wrong. A lot of skills. So as she's fleeing, the other Nazis track her down, and they fight. Okay, I'll answer the invitation to death, but not with bullets. And what she does is she flies the plane directly towards the followers and blows up all three of the planes. But we see that she has ejected before the crash. As she starts to descend down to the ground, another plane is present. And, the parachute suddenly catches on fire. So either the plane shot the parachute, which seems unlikely, but she could have got caught from the flames from the explosion. We see that she is parachuting over the ground, but when the parachute catches on fire, we see that she is angled towards the river, which it may have just been the perception of her being over the ground. So she lands into the river, and the pilots think that she is automatically dead. I mean, that's a great way of checking, guys. No, she's dead. Yeah, she landed in the water, so obviously she's dead. Anyways, she does not die, and she comes from the water, and she looks like she is very much dazed. And then in the next panel it says, a short while later, two men show up in a car, and they want to give her assistance, and one says, masked, wonder who she is. Get her in the car and we'll take a look at her face. And she momentarily seems to escape their grasp, take the car and flee. She goes to this hotel where apparently they are discussing plans in that she wishes to get a hold of. She makes her presence known, they charge at her, and she fires apparently chlorine gas. I can't imagine the statement that she says while doing this. She says a dose of chlorine won't hurt them. In 1941, they could not have been this clueless of the effects of chlorine gas. I mean, seriously. Anyways, she gets the plans, and she starts to make a run for it, and the Baron apparently has her at gunpoint. She throws her gun at him, which stuns him enough for her to escape out of the window. I suspect she escapes out the window, shows her at the window. She gets to an Allied plane as it's taking off, and she gets herself on board, and then we see her talking to the pilots. Mind if I hitch a ride back home, boys? Hey, it's Lady Satan. Boy, the ministry will be glad to see you. And she delivers the plans to a major. Okay. And she says, my compensation is the triumph over... let's see. The major says, Your bringing the plans will enable us to break the U-boat blockade. Britain owes you much, Lady Satan. And she says, no, Major, my compensation is the triumph over liberty over tyranny. Now, in the next issue, she is more James Bondish. She still shows that she has a lot of skills. She breaks into the compound, kills a number of Nazi soldiers, gets more plans, and escapes. But this time we see a little bit more of her skills than what we saw in the first issue. Which, I love how the first issue ends. Lady Satan appears in Dynamic Comics. And with the second issue ending, we had no idea that Lady Satan was going to be discontinued after 2 issues, but it was. Now, later on, when we get to... Did I say Red Seal Comics? I believe I did. Let me check my notes here. Yes, Red Seal Comics. She would appear in 4 issues. Now, the first appearance of her, she has to deal with werewolves. And we see her using black magic skills. The werewolves apparently attack her. She makes them go away. She uses a spiritual device to track down the werewolves, and she ends up winning in the end. In some of the other issues, we see that She can see ghosts that are beyond the capability of mortal people. She has a ring that fires out something called dragon scales, and she apparently has the strength of 10 men. And in her very last appearance, it doesn't seem to be supernatural in nature at all. In fact, the last appearance is more of a Scooby-Doo mystery. Apparently, there is oil on the land, and this guy who wants to buy the land is scaring people away by using his butler to dress up as some sort of swamp creature, and she stops the bad guy and unmasks him. I would have gotten away with it. Okay, he doesn't say that, but that's pretty much what it is. Now, she will have 2 reprints at the very end of the 40s, and those are just reprints. Authentic Police Stories number 2 shows her first appearance, and Bullseye Comics number 11 shows her second appearance. And beyond that, I've already mentioned her appearance in the made-for-TV movie, which I think I have clips of it here. And then a couple of her lines from Project Superpowers, where, like I said, she appeared there, had a couple of lines, was there for all heroes on deck for the battles, but didn't have a great effect on the storyline at all. And that is Lady Satan. Well, I hope you enjoyed this hero. I hope you learned about a fascinating new Golden Age character. If you have any other Golden Age characters that you'd like to see, doesn't have to be from Project Superpowers, you can go ahead and drop me a line. I always like reviewing new characters. So until next time, I'll be seeing you.